Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 19th hole. We are live on In Between Media. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the whole damn channel, and jingle that bell for notifications. We finished up our 2-week stay in the sacred ground of Scotland, and we're back stateside for the 3M Open in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. Don't you know? It's right in Conor's backyard. We'll have to hear from him after the jump. Well, somebody I know, his name rhymes with Bonner Snofflin, called Xander Schauffele last week. His dog called it too.
God, thank you, Amazon. Without you, I might have peace and quiet.
Yeah, right.
Unbelievable. And the Amazon, I've got like my Ring door camera is going off. Amazon is literally standing at my front door, so he's not going to shut up for probably 5 minutes. So we'll just deal with real life, apparently.
Hey, Rosie is ready to pop off at any moment on my end, so it's part of the show at this point.
I've been told animals are endearing towards viewers, so
they are. Yeah,
maybe that's true. We'll see.
Norm.
Yeah, frickin' Norm. So
Seth's giving both of us credit for Xander, and it goes to you. Golf clap to Conor Coughlin. He hit last week. Xander Schauffele, second major win of the year after some were saying, not us of course, but some were saying that Xander couldn't close even though he's an Olympic gold medalist. Xander can't win the big one even though he's a gold medalist and he's competed, been in the top 10 in pretty much every major tournament and elevated tournament this season and last. But Xander couldn't do it, and now he's a 2-time major winner in the same season. You know who didn't do that this year? Anyone else.
That's true. Scotty Scheffler is the one that probably could have, but
yeah, he's still going to be player of the year with 6 wins so far. We still got the playoffs. We still have I don't think either one of them will play. They're definitely not playing the 3M this week. And do you think they'll play the Wyndham at Sedgefield?
I would be surprised.
Probably not. Getting ready after the Olympics, they're both going to be representing the U.S. of A. at the Olympics. They're both going to be heavily favored to win medals at the Olympics. Then they have that week in between with the Wyndham, and then the FedEx Cup playoffs start right after that. So,
do you feel like though? I think Scotty. You can't take anything away from Scotty, but do you feel like if Xander puts together a pretty serious run here with the FedEx playoffs, that maybe
I think if Xander wins one of the 3 final tournaments in the playoffs and Scotty doesn't, then Xander takes it.
That's kind of what I think.
But I mean, at this point, returning to Parkland Golf, which we're going to get for all 3 of the FedEx Cup playoff points, is you have to say that Scotty's going to be right back at the top of betting slips. He's going to be very favored. Xander's going to be right there behind him, probably somewhere around 10-1. Scotty will be 5-1. And we'll get the same thing, and we'll get to see him duke it out. Like, he didn't win. Scotty didn't win the Open Championship. Xander did. But guess what? The best shot of the Open Championship was that tee shot on Saturday on 17 into a 4-club wind with a 3-wood to 3 feet. Unreal shot.
Unreal is the only way to put it. I think
he's not from. Yeah, Xander played what he calls his best round of golf he's ever played in his life on Sunday, shooting 65. Everybody else is backing up. Xander's just holding steady. What do you have? 6 bogeys the whole week? That's not fair at a place as tough as Royal Troon with the wind up.
No, but it does go to show you. Like, I think if you look at what he's been doing, past the eye test, I mean, that's not new for him. Like, he's been doing it all year.
We've been new.
So, Yeah, I think I was pretty impressed with it. I will say I liked the course. I liked the carnage that ensued.
Mm-hmm.
I would have
Mm-hmm.
liked to have seen some more of the top 10 up there actually competing.
Yeah,
Like,
half of the top 20 missed the cut, guys. 10 out of 20 of the top 20 in the world. They were all there. Every single one of them was there. And half of them missed the cut, including our boy Rory, who was dead last.
planning his vacation after 22 holes. That's a great quote, Roars.
Excellent. Thank you. Great job. Fantastic. Cameron Smith, best putter in the world, couldn't buy a bucket.
Well, and I hate to like rub it into people, but I think with Bryson too, I think we've been high on him all year, but he did kind of exactly what I thought he was going to maybe fall into at Pinehurst also, where you start missing those fairways and you don't get some lucky bounces and you're
decent lies. Yeah, he got some gorse lies. He found some fescue at Troon. I mean, Troon's brutal. We mentioned that it's even a 1 club wind was going to make it really tough, and they had a 2 club wind for most of the tournament, and it was even a reverse. It wasn't the prevailing 2 club wind that they expected, which made the front 9 the heaven part of the golf course, the hell part of the golf course, and you were seeing better scoring on the back 9 when usually that's what they're dreading, is that headwind into the last 6 holes, just brutally difficult. We saw that on Saturday with the rain added on, and that was absolute carnage. Was when the prevailing wind was up and it was sopping wet, which made the course super long. But the other 3 days it was a reverse of the prevailing wind, so the people were teeing off on 1 and they were just right into that wind, and then they were actually trying to catch up on the back 9, which was mind-boggling.
Had some guys doing it, but yeah, I don't think it's what anybody expected. Not only the conditions were, I think, polar opposite, like you kind of touched on, and I don't think it's the guys that people thought were going to be up there either. So I mean, it was
except for our guy Sam Burns, who we were definitely on at 110-1, and he was looking really good after Saturday.
Sunday. Yeah.
He shot 80 on Sunday and finished. He went from a tie for second after 54 holes to 31st. Not great, Bob.
Yeah, not great, Bob.
I thought it was gonna be Rich. Sam Burns was gonna close it out, and it turns out that it was your guy, Xander Schauffele. Great job. I'm a big Xander fan, so I'm happy, even though I didn't win. Like, I only cashed a Sung JM top 10 ticket. Thanks, Sung J, for not letting me get shut out.
And he was looking real touch and go after Thursday.
Yeah, but Sunday he had a damn good day on Sunday.
Yeah, we were all over him. I was probably too overweight, Sung J, to be honest. But
thank you for saving us, Sung J. You're a real prince.
JT did some more JT things. Came out hot and proceeded to piss down his own leg. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
My player of the year call, huh? That's working out well for me.
Oh, and the hat pick, Iwamura, was actually in contention for a little while, and then he shot a 91 on Friday. He was well inside the cut line after Thursday, which we were laughing about because he was the hat pick out of nowhere. I never even heard of this guy, and I was like, wow, the hat is onto something. This dude's 1 under par after the first day, and then he had back-to-back 9s on the card. Shot an outgoing 47 or something like that on Friday, and shot a 91. And I think one of us in good conditions could play Royal Troon somewhere in the 90s. He obviously shot 91 in terrible conditions, but yeah, it was a fun laugh that we had with Iwamura being the hat pick.
Funny as hell too. I mean, almost right on cue. It's why you don't call stuff out. The minute you sent that text, I was like, well, he's toast. But right now it looks awesome.
Barbecued 91 in a professional tournament for anybody. Like, even the old codgers that are there on honorary exemptions didn't shoot 91, but this guy did.
Hi. Impressive work.
Drove me to drinking. Are you drinking anything tonight? Silver bullets?
Yeah, just some silver bullets. Yeah. Long day at work, so still got some stuff ahead of us. So I figured less whiskey, more beer.
Yeah, it's 108, and the power went out earlier today. We had a drunk driver hit the power pole, so get a designated driver and hope they don't hit the power pole and knock out the power for the west side of town here, which includes the hospital. They gave us an estimate of 11 p.m. On time, and luckily they figured out very quickly on that the hospital was on generators at the time, so they booked it and they got it fixed, and we've had power back on. The air conditioning still catching up because it's really freaking hot out here. But I am drinking a Simply Spiked lemonade, which is 5% real juice and 5% alcohol. Really good balance, good balance on the field.
You gotta have something to cut the booze.
They're really delicious, though.
If you want to, just throw one through the screen to me. That sounds delightful.
Strawberry lemonade.
I'm gonna have to go see if I got anything like that in the fridge. These Coors Lights are fine, but that sounds better.
It's really refreshing. I also have a lot of water. Water's good. You should drink lots of water, people. Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. Stay fresh.
All right. Well, let's talk about TPC Twin Cities after the Caddy notes drop. Are you ready, Connor? All right, we're back to Parkland Golf in the United States of America.
It's an important call.
Not far from you.
It's true.
How many hours from your place in Sioux Falls to TPC Twin Cities in Blaine, Minnesota?
And probably 4 hours and some change. So it's not a terrible drive.
Doable.
Yep. No, I said last year I was going to try and get up there this year. I'm going to say it again this year because I'm not making it this year either, but yeah, I should.
Well, I missed the Barracuda this year. I was mad because I had other things going on last weekend for the Barracuda. I would have loved to be up there for Nick Dunlap.
In a lot of ways, that field is more enticing than this one too. So
similar field. A couple bigger names are here that we'll talk about. But let me tell us about this golf course, because I think it's a little bit different than what we saw the first couple of weeks before Scotland with the Rocket Mortgage and a couple of those other, like the John Deere. This course has a little bit more teeth to it. I think it's a little bit more interesting as far as the track goes. So tell us about Twin Cities.
Yeah, so TPC Twin Cities is a par 71. It's 7,431 yards, bent grass fairways, bent grass greens. It's a more scoreable course. One of the more scoreable courses on tour, despite being just absolutely riddled with water hazards. Water comes into play on like 80% of the holes, squarely in play off the tee throughout your round. The fairways are definitely a little bit wider than tour average. This place boasts a pretty high fairways and greens and regulation rate. It's amongst some of the top percentages we'll see all year long. The course is actually surprisingly flat. Most lies and approach shots are going to come in from basically flat, perfectly manicured bent grass. So very, very consistent approach and line of sight type shots. Second shot shouldn't be a challenge really for good approach players. Mm-hmm. I'm really just kind of looking for players that again have that excellent approach game. The stickiest stats that tie to this place, and it's pretty consistent over the last 5 years, is really solid approach, high in opportunities gained, mm-hmm. and very good putting. The greens being as large as they are,
they're gigantic.
You really do want people that avoid three putts, are good at lag putting.
So or if you were to design a course the complete opposite of Royal Troon, this would be it.
This would pretty much be it. And I mean, I think there's some challenges to be had, obviously, with the water. This place definitely prefers a right to left ball flight. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely something to look at. Most of the holes set up that way. You've got water kind of in play a lot of the right side. So you want to stay away from the water. That's the biggest teeth, as Bo kind of mentioned. But yeah. Really,
even though they're easy to hit fairways and easy to hit greens, like you said, approach proximity is a lot. Strokes gained off the tee, good drives. Obviously, there's some distance advantage here because of the penalty for missing the fairways is really bad, but it's obviously tougher to miss these fairways. So there is a little bit of recent form built in. Like if you have a guy who's been squirrely off the tee lately, you might want to hope that he's figuring it out soon, because this course you're going to need to make some birdies for sure. You're going to have to avoid the double bogeys, maybe not necessarily the bogey avoidance, and short game stats almost don't matter at all, like chipping and around the green game. You're not going to see very many guys miss these greens. They are humongous green complexes, and they're receptive, and they're pretty flat. This is going to be a putting contest for the best guys on approach who found most of the fairways at 320 plus. And we can build a pretty clean profile as far as my modeling came out really clear with the guys I expected to see, which makes it fun because not everybody's on that. We're going to cover that in the DFS portion. The leverage is going to come really simple this week. And betting side, I think there's some guys that are a little short for my liking, even though I really like them. But there's also guys that I want to invest in, even if it's just a little bit, because their line is super soft. Would you agree with that, Connor?
I would agree with that. It was dynamite drop in.
Yes. Excellent. I concur.
You touched on distance and driving. I think as far as my modeling was concerned this week, I weighted good drives gained more than I weighted either specific. I wanted guys that really have a good mix of both. I don't think you have to be a bomber here. I don't think it hurts to be a bomber here, but you definitely want to be in the right part of the fairway.
Yes. All right.
Weather.
Looks really pristine.
We are going to have pretty good conditions. It's going to be hot. It's going to be a little bit humid.
Any summer squalls?
You never know. But no,
it's a lot less likely to happen when you're not on the coast of Scotland.
Yeah, there's some lakes in Minnesota, but not the same magnitude.
There's 1,000 of them.
That's so I'm told. I lived there for a while. I can tell you I saw the same 4 or 5, and I'm convinced that's all that exists. But the only thing that I was going to throw in on the weather is it's going to be sustained probably around 8 to 10 miles an hour, but you will see some gusts especially getting Friday, Saturday. You could see gusts up to 20 miles per hour. Not the end of the world. Again, this course can be fairly forgiving if you have some semblance of a clue on how to play into the wind. So I didn't overbake it into the modeling the way that we have with some of the conditions in previous weeks, but it's something to think about.
All right. We're on a winning streak still. Thanks, Connor, for keeping that running. It has happened before. It is currently happening. And I believe we've talked enough about a lot of these guys coming up in the show as quote-unquote sleepers and little-known names. Well, a lot of them are household names now because we called them advanced. They turned out to be awesome, just like we said years ago. And you're going to see a lot of those guys that we're going to be betting on after this. And I knew this was going to happen. Last week, I did mention that you were so high on Tony Finau. So high on Tony Finau at the Open Championship. And I was like, this is either going to be really good, but knowing what usually happens when you go all in on Tony Finau is he takes advantage of your confidence in him. And Tony Finau actually started off pretty well. He was in the hunt after Thursday, and then he went 71-81 to burn up into a cloud of just an incendiary cloud of flames and missed the cut by quite a large margin. I believe by 4 shots he missed the cut after shooting even on the first day. And of course, this usually warrants Connor saying Tony Finau is dead to you. Well, I also happen to predict that if he said that he was dead to you this week, that means Tony Finau is going to win the 3M Open like he did 2 years ago.
Because we have had that exact scenario happen.
2021. If you flash back to 2021, Tony Finau misses the cut at the Open. And the very next week was 2022. He missed the cut at the Open. We're like, oh, he's dead to Conor. Conor is absolutely just beside himself with anger at Tony Finau, refuses to play him at the 3M Open. I said, I think it's a really good fit. He got to come back home a couple days early. He's ready to go at a Parkland golf course that rewards people of his stature off the tee and on approach. And wouldn't you know, Tony Finau won the 2022 3M Open pretty easily too. He was in the hunt last year, didn't win, but of course looked good. This is his type of event. And he is the betting favorite at 11-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Conor, how dead is he?
Well, Tony Finau.
the puppy.
Seeing the story, the world
about the dog.
No, so Tony Finau, he's not dead to me because this is the Tony Finau Open. He's dead to me because he was the difference between a mid 4-figure hit on DraftKings and a low 3-figure hit last week. So I'm womp, 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 the only player that didn't make the cut for me in a pretty good lineup. So Tony Finau is relatively dead to me starting next week. I don't think you can ignore.
I need a smaller violin.
I don't think you can ignore Tony Finau here. And it, plus 1100. So actually, it's actually a good number on him here.
In this field?
Yeah.
I love it. I'm getting pretty aggressive on Finau at 11-1 with a top 5 kicker, which means I'm going to play them separate bets, and I'm also going to parlay them so you can really get some good odds going if he does win. And that what allows me to do is sprinkle in some half unit bets on all these other guys that are going to come in afterwards. But Tony Finau, for my money, it's going to be really disappointing if he doesn't compete here.
I'll have some money on Finau, but I'm all in on Luke Clanton. In my opinion, you can skip the next guys and just go right to 25-1.
Well, I completely agree with you. That's the weird part here is you have Sahith Theegala, can't find fairways. He's also 110th in proximity on approach. That seems bad.
It's not great, Bob.
Sam Burns, who did great until he didn't. Better short game than anything. He's a good off the tee player, bogey avoidance, but again, 94th on approach, not great, Bob. Akshay Bhatia, really a decent line at 22-1. He's intriguing, but again, proximity 62nd in this field, not the best. Billy Horschel is the one guy at the top of this board where he is in the middle to bottom of the pack in my model, because other than last week, he's played like garbage this year. Kashmir Keith Mitchell is 127th putting in this field. Not great in a course that requires you to make putts. As great as he is off the tee and gaining opportunities, cashing them in has been a struggle for him.
The only thing on Keith Mitchell, just the one reason that I may sprinkle a few on him is in his last 3 starts here, he's got a T5 and a fifth. He skipped and a cut, right? So skipped 2022. But a couple of top 5s in his last few starts here. Keith Mitchell's never been able to putt. I would argue he actually was worse at putting in those finishes. So
his ball striking has not been as good this year, though.
It hasn't been, but he still is. He's still up there. He's top 3 in good drives gained, which is great. He's always going to be there. We know his approach game can get absolutely red hot. He's a prototypical guy that if he catches even a flat putter, he can win.
Yeah.
So
on the other hand, guys like Luke Clanton beat him in just about every category.
Luke Clanton. This seems long for Luke Clanton. I mean,
right? And you wouldn't say, oh, he's an amateur. He's in his first year. Like he obviously is a great collegiate player. He's still an amateur. He probably turn pro next year after another college season at Florida State, and he's still putting up numbers like we're number 3 in this field in overall stats that I'm weighing here. He's number 2 on par 4s. He's number 8 on par 5s. He's number 2 in this field off the tee. He's number 2 in birdies or better. He's number 5 in whole strokes gained from tee to green. He's number 7 in opportunities. He's number 2 in ball striking. He's number 11 on approach. This guy's just across the board unbelievable. So the reason why you would say Luke Clanton is not a good bet is because you would be a little hesitant to play an amateur at 28-1. But the way he's playing, ain't no amateur shit going on here. This dude's a pro already. He's already showing up in the top 5s of these leaderboards. And at a place like this with a very depressed quality of field, absolutely can win this tournament. And 28-1 would be a really nice payday, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be amazing. And, in the four starts that we're measuring with him, I mean, he is absolutely ridiculous off the tee. I think he hasn't had a start where he's gained less than 3.9 strokes off the tee.
He's had long and straight.
His approach, like for the first time in the 3 starts that we've got, let him down a little bit last week, but he still was flat. The things that have been holding him back from winning, frankly, are the around the green and just kind of middling putting. But
yeah,
this is a place where being a middle of the road putter is going to be good enough, and you don't need the around the green game. So the rest of the game is out of control good.
Yeah. I have him as 31st in putting. It's still upper tier.
Yeah, let me tell you exactly what he rated for me. I was just looking at his last start where he lost a stroke, but 31st. I have 31st too, so we must have our model set exactly the same. So
pretty damn close, yeah. I have filtered for difficult fairways to hit, but then turn that off, and then I also filtered for the length of the course. But it's pretty much just, you can filter by bent grass if you want, but most of these like the majority of golf courses on the PGA Tour are bent grass greens, so you're going to get very little movement in the stats when it actually is a bent grass week.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on him is, the 3-putt avoidance is a little concerning in the 4 starts, but at the same time, he's number 7 in opportunities gained over that same period of time. And like I said, if you're sticking the ball close here, as long as you're like a baseline putter, which he is at that 31 ranking, like this should be a walk in the park for him. The rest of the game is incredibly elite already.
All right, who's the next guy on your board?
That's it. I just put all my money on Clanton this week.
Clanton and Finau, yeah, that sounds about right. That's actually where most of my money's going. So yeah, we might just wrap this up. Are you on Tom Hoge? Tom Hoge rates out in the top 5 of my model, and as surprised as I was, I knew I wanted to talk about it because that's your boy.
So, I mean, as we all know, I'm not a small man. I'm getting up there in age. My heart can't take Tony Finau and Tom Hoge in the same week.
Week, yeah. So, you imagine if both of them burned you at the 3M Open, you'd probably just quit the show.
I might quit more than the show, but yeah. So the concerning thing for me with Hoge and why I'm
shut it down,
ultimately going to Finau, because like I said, I'm heart health. I got to make a stand. Hoge just doesn't rate out all that great, and some of the
30-1 Hoge would give anybody a coronary. That's a terrible number for a guy like him.
And he's not good at putting. He's 86th in the field.
86th in putting, 104th in bogey avoidance, which is not a non-existent stat this week.
That was going to be my exact next sentence. So yeah, I think it's a very, very short number for Tom Hoge. Tom Hoge would have to play ridiculous golf for Tom Hoge to win.
Hoge, more than just a sandwich.
A heartbreak letdown waiting to happen.
So 2 guys who started at 50-1 who are already down to 40-1. I'm getting less and less interested by the minute because they keep getting shorter. Nick Dunlap just won the Barracuda last week. Shout out NorCal. And the other guy, shout out NorCal, is Chico native Kurt Kitayama, who is 77th in the FedEx Cup playoffs. So he's got this week and the Wyndham to get into the top 70 to make the playoffs. I think that his driving ability could put him into contention this week. 40-1 is a little short for me, though, even. And for Dunlap, he opened at 45, so he's kind of still in that same range. But Kitayama was a good value at 50-1, but if he's at 40, I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, so Dunlap, Kitayama's going to miss my card as well as DFS. And the main reason for that is we know he's not a great putter. He's been particularly bad putting this season.
He hasn't made it nearly as many birdies as the last couple of years.
His miss is also right. We talk a lot about Kitayama having the ability to shot shape.
Well, he can when he's on.
He misses right a lot.
It's that Tiger miss right too. Before Tiger went to a cut, remember when Tiger was a right to left guy and he would block it out to the right? That's what Kitayama does. He's a draw player, and sometimes it just doesn't turn over and it sprays it straight right.
So I'm going to take a pass on him.
That'd be a little wet this week.
I think that is a reality, unfortunately. Dunlap for me is going to be a DFS play. That's too short a number. 40-1 is just too short for him. I'm with you. If he had stayed at 50 or maybe even gotten a little bit longer, that's pretty enticing for a guy that's having a really good season. He's won twice now. So
yeah, that seems good.
Yeah. So I like Dunlap, the player. I like the upside in DFS, but as an outright at 40-1, that's just too short, I think.
So you know who isn't too short and who is just as good is shout out NorCal Stanford alum Michael Thorbjornsen, 65-1. I'm not gonna miss when Michael Thorbjornsen shows up to a tournament like this and just runs through the field, just completely annihilates the field, because that's how good he is when he's on. I'm not gonna miss out at 65-1. I'm gonna take some shots. And nobody else in this range or even deeper is looking that good to me. I have a couple longer shots, but I'm not going very deep this week. Honestly, in a field like this, shallow and talent pool-wise, I'm not going to be too deep down this board, because most of these guys that are getting long odds deserve it because they played like garbage this year.
Yeah, with Thorbjornsen, I think what's intriguing with him is he's got a lot of the typical gaps in his game that these young guys do. When we look at
it's even consistency with the short game. It's consistency backing up a bad hole with a bounce back birdie or keeping a birdie streak alive. Like those are things that winners do that you have to learn.
What actually got me back on Thorbjornsen this week, because he rates out really, really badly in my model. Like just transparent. It's not good. But what got me on him is actually, as I looked at him compared to our flavor of the moment, Luke Clanton, who everybody is like, now people know the name and he's all over the place. Mm-hmm. If you look at the trends that Clanton has after the 4 rounds, and then you look at the overall trends with Thorbjornsen, they are very, very, very similar players.
Yeah, they are.
And so if
off the tee, especially,
approach when it's hot, it's nuclear. And what it really takes for both these guys is just to have a flat week with the putter, because that's how good their approach game and their off the tee game is when it's firing on all cylinders. So if you like Clanton at that 20, you gotta bet Thorbjornsen at 65, because they're not a very dissimilar player.
My 2 most weighted stats, opportunities gained and birdies are better gained, Thorbjornsen is 16th and 22nd respectively. That seems good.
It is a rarity that you and I are so similar on our modeling, but I think
we're looking at the same stats. I think just weighting them differently, which is why we're mostly agreeing.
I have him in the exact same spot. Again, the part that is concerning, and it's just tanking his ranking, is he's 135th in 3-putt avoidance. He's 113th in strokes gained putting. And unfortunately, he loves birdies, but he ain't afraid of bogeys either. Gives a few of those away too. So
yeah, I see all these things. We're on the same page here. I just think that 65-1, it's worth it. Because
100%.
I don't want to miss out. I don't want to miss out when he turns that around, because Judging by what he did at Stanford, where he was the best college player by a long shot last year, I think that there's just a switch that gets flipped, like what we've seen from Clanton and what we've seen from Neil Shipley, what we've seen from pretty much all these other young guns that are coming up on tour this year. We're going to see some more coming up from the college ranks next year or from the Korn Ferry Tour ranks next year that are going to knock your socks off. Some of these older guys that we're seeing deeper in this tournament odds, they're not even going to be on tour next year because they're going to get pushed out by how good the young talent is on the PGA Tour starting in 2025. But some of them were already here. Pearson Coody is on my board at 90-1. I think that the way he's turned his season around through good driving and a hot putter, just a great approach game when he's finding fairways. And then Neil Shipley at 100-1 is an absolute insult to what he's done this whole season. Yeah, he missed one cut when we were relying on him, but my God, Neil Shipley is good. And great driver of the golf ball and an outstanding putter on this type of course. That's the combination you need.
Yeah, Shipley, I think, to your point, has had a good season. I think he's got the right combination. I think he's odds appropriate here. I don't think that I would put him on the level of the two guys we were just talking about. So I like the number on Shipley. I like the upside with Shipley. It's probably going
tons of upside, but yes, he's an all or nothing kind of guy.
Yeah, so I think he'll make the card at 100-1, but I'm still on the fence with him. I'm looking into it a little bit more.
All right. Who's your deepest shot?
It is probably my deepest one. 1, 2, 3. There it is. Chandler Phillips at plus 15,000. I like that. And then Ben Coles at the same number. Both stat out pretty similarly. Little bit, honestly, they could be a little bit longer for those two guys, but there is some upside with it, and we've seen it with both of them. So, little FOMO for me. It's guys I play frequently.
Yeah. Hayden Springer's interesting. Kelly Craft, that hasn't been reliable, but it just for some reason just matches up well with what I'm running here. I just don't think I'm going to get down that deep. It's just for DFS, I'll fill out my pool with some of these longer guys like Kelly Craft and Ryo Hisatsune, Lanto Griffin. Those guys that are showing up in my model, I'm not betting on them because that's just nuts. But this is the tournament to load up on your favorites and play some DFS with a big pool just to see who hits. Like Rico Hoey is one of my favorite DFS plays this week because of the value. But am I betting on Rico Hoey? Maybe I'll talk myself into it before lock.
James Hahn 500-1.
James Hahn. Okay.
He's got a fourth place here.
Hey, I've seen worse.
He's not a creative player. We know who he is.
Yeah, he is a real player we've talked about before too. A real person, not like Iwamura.
That is a fake ass name.
Like I know you're a real Japanese golfer that plays well on the Asian tour and you qualified just the same as everybody else, but my God, just that was bad.
We'll remember the 91 next year, I'm sure.
Yes, we will. Are you ready to not slam some trunks and do some DFSing?
As I recall, you're the one that needs to worry about slamming trunks, my friend.
Yeah, I had a really good run going, and then it's just not happening. I'll get back to it. I had a really bad struggle in Scotland for some reason.
I'm not talking super shit. Like,
no.
You had good plays. We just run a bad luck.
I couldn't put together a good overall lineup. Like, I always had one or two guys that just completely sunk my battleship.
in tragic fashion.
Yeah, like infernal hellfire fashion. Cameron Smith was in 60% of my lineups last week. That did not go well.
Well, let's try and fix it.
Yeah. No trunk slams.
The club as well. This would be a wrestling slam.
Tony Finau, how's the ownership looking?
I don't know, man. I think my my shares on Finau are going to reside on the betting side. I can't do 35% on Tony Finau.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I don't know.
I'm clicking my stars right now because I got my model up. I'm clicking the stars so I can look at the thing too.
I know you're gonna pull up the exact same thing. So while you're clicking away, so on this generator we use 23% of our closest friends are generating rosters with Tony Finau. The projected, once the rest of the world gets in there, is 35.7%.
That's a little much. I love Tony Finau this week, but I don't love him 35% much.
Yeah, that's 37 now, so that's fantastic.
Excellent. Fantastic.
I think the thing for me that really is guiding me off of Finau, Thagala, and Burns, and Batia actually to a point, is I really don't want to have to play the lower part of the pricing. Like I really, really do not want to get sub 7.
Don't want to be down there. You do not want to be down there this week.
So there's probably some guys in there you like. For me, if I play anybody, I'll dabble in Keith Mitchell, but I won't touch the 20% he's projected at.
No.
Clanton is probably going to be the guy I go heavy on. I like the price. I like the upside. I think he can win. And 20% on a guy that I'm very sold is going to compete and or win this week. It makes sense.
Okay, so Tony Finau 37%. I might go to 25%, and that's about it. I'm gonna look at Thigala as a leverage point at 8%, and I'll probably go to 15% on him because he does have upside here as a birdie making machine when he's on. Sam Burns, I'll have a little bit. Akshay Bhatia, I'll be underweight on Akshay because 25% is crazy. Billy Horschel, no thanks. Keith Mitchell, I'll be underweight. Luke Clanton, I'll be double the field. I'll have probably 40-50% Luke Clanton. And if that kills me, it kills me. But the dude's playing out of his mind this year. He seems impervious to pressure. He's already done this a few times on the PGA Tour level in similar fields. I think Luke Clanton, being overweight on Luke Clanton this week is fine. Because you can miss the chalk on Mitchell and Batia and some of the Tony Finau love. And you can also miss some of the chalk below Luke Clanton, like JT Poston, way too much chalk. Cam Davis, way too much chalk. Keegan Bradley is getting 13% this week. Tom Hoagie, 14%. You can avoid a lot of chalk and get guys you like and be overweight on them because chances are there's going to be a lot of guys loading up on household names like Keegan Bradley, for example, that it doesn't make any sense in a tournament like this, right? It's just like you can find leverage other places. Mav McNeely is getting 12% somehow.
Yeah, and that's where I start to see the biggest like possibilities within this field is really with that more balanced build approach, starting in the mid to low 9s and finishing somewhere in the mid to high 7s, depending on how you build out. But you look at all these guys in that range. Some of them are household names, some of them aren't. But for the most part, everybody in here has the upside to win.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which I really like. Like, there's really not a lot of guys in this range that don't have that level of upside to them.
Dunlap's at 6% projected. That's a hammer spot for me.
Yeah, and it's a super easy guy to get to at that, especially when you compare it to the Mav McNeely, 12% projected. Griot's getting a lot of love. I know Griot's got good course history here. But again, another guy that you're relying on him to be on point with his approach because it's the only thing that saves him. Doesn't putt well. So
no, terrible putter.
It seems like that rostership in there should be pivoting down to Dunlap at 8,400. It's just not.
What are you doing with the defending champion, Lee Hodges? He's coming in around 9%.
Yeah. And he rated out decent for me. I mean, I'll probably have a few lineups with him in it. I'm going to spread it around pretty good in this range. So I don't see a reason not to play Lee Hodges.
True. Thor Bjornsson only at 2% at 7,700.
I think that's a smash spot if you want to gamble. Like, he's the gamble.
I love gambling. And even though I really do love Chan Kim, he's the pivot off the chalk. He's at 15% projected. And I do like Chan Kim. I will have Chan Kim in the pool, but 15% for him is hilarious. Michael Thorbjornsen is 10 times the golfer Chan Kim is.
Yeah, I think long term there's no doubt.
No doubt. And Ben Griffin is at 14%. What are we doing?
Yeah, with Ben Griffin, I think what gets people off of Ben Griffin and why I'm actually a little bit off of him. Unfortunately, not everybody's heeding the warning. He's just not good off the tee. And he also enjoys a right miss, and he does it pretty damn frequently.
Yeah.
This is probably not the best setup for Ben Griffin. There's a lot of trouble that he can get himself in. So yeah, 14% Ben Griffin, not for me. I get the upside on the approach and the opportunities, but it's just the off the tee game. It does not match up for this course.
I'm really mad that I missed the Barracuda last week. You want to know the one reason I'm actually upset about it? I didn't get to meet Mac Meissner,
who I will be playing.
Oh, yeah. He's coming in at 12, 13%. I think I'll match the field on that because dude's playing great this year. Young gun. He's going to be a force. And 7,600, it's not that chalky. I mean, Johnny Vegas, I'm not touching Johnny Vegas or Harry Hall at their ownership. Rico Hoey, I'm probably going to match the field on too at 15%. But I'm not getting over my skis here. You got guys like Gracerman that are 11%. You got Ben Silverman farther down, it's 11%. Like, some of these easy chalk fades are just so blatant that I can just pivot to another guy I like and leverage the field super easy. And it was shockingly easy to build a lineup that everybody wasn't going to dupe.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think in that range that we kind of just skimmed through, like, obviously we both like Mac Meissner. I do like Harry Hall a bit. Scores a lot of birdies. Not the best driver of the golf ball, but decent putter, avoids the 3-putt pretty well. And he's, like I said, he's fourth in this field for birdie or better average. Andrew Novak is a guy that I like. I don't think I've quite sold you on him yet, but he did rate out 8th for me.
He never does anything, though.
I think it's 7,400 in DFS, though. Like, I'm not trying to line up and bet the guy, but he's under
every week you get Novak in the low 7s or high 6s, and he rates out well because he's a stat darling. And then he goes out there, he might finish top 30, but it's like, what kind of points are you getting? 65 points in DFS? It's like, is he a cut maker? Yes. In a large field tournament, do you need guys like that? Maybe. I think in a cash game, you're more liable to put a guy like in that range, 7,400. I need a guy to make the cut. Novak's probably going to make the cut this week. Anything more than that, I just don't think it's worth it. I'm playing tournament DFS most of the time, so you can keep your cash game, Andrew Novak. He's perfect for that.
We'll see.
Give me Neil Shipley. Shipley is only at 10%, 7,300.
I'll take the Novak versus Shipley. I'll take Novak.
Let's go.
100%.
Kevin Yu can't putt. Neither can Johnny Vegas. So
Kevin Yu, I'm in on. Kevin Yu, I'm in on.
The Stripe Show himself. 7,200 for Kevin Yu is nice. He's got upside.
Yes, he does. A lot of it.
Pearson Kuti, Ryo Hisatsune. 7,100 each. I'm on both of those guys.
Kuti more than Hatsune for me.
Okay, yeah, I agree. That's what the field says too. 6% versus 3%. I think that's pretty appropriate. Hayden Springer, your guy, 13% down here at 7K flat. That seems a bit much for him. I like Hayden Springer, but I don't know if I like him that much.
Hayden Springer sprays right. Hayden Springer 3 putts more than 3/4 of this field, and he does not stick the ball very close.
So chalk on Springer, pretty easy to fade. Matty Schmidt, bomber from Germany, He's an interesting upside pick.
Hey, you skipped right over the guy that you are normally on when we talk about bombers with short game. And this guy actually, for once, has good course history here.
Cameron Champ. Shout out NorCal. Yeah, upside for sure. If you're in a big tournament and you're maxing it out, Cameron Champ better be in the pool, because when he gets hot once every 3 to 4 months, you don't want to miss it. He's the best off the tee player in this field.
I also know that you agree with me. We do not need to talk about Cam Champ. We're talking about put him in 1 or 2 lineups max, but
right.
But you also agree with me, and this is something we've said about Cam Champ. There's maybe 3 courses on the entire tour that Cam Champ plays well at, and he plays well at them every time he plays at them, and this is one of them. This
is the end of Cam Champ's season.
Yeah,
and also the beginning.
Seriously is.
He's a sleeper cell.
So Cam Champ, I mean, a lineup or 2 if you're trying to look to do something a little unique there.
If you need him next week, he'll be sitting at the bar.
Which is, probably where he does his best work. But
yes. What do you think about the chalk on Carson Young down here?
I think it's warranted. I don't think it's crazy.
It's not
6,900. I am in that range a little bit, and for me, it's him, Chandler Phillips again, FOMO, Nate Lashley, and then I already talked about taking a few shots at Ben Coles potentially.
Yeah. Callum Tarrant popped on my model when driving accuracy was a little bit more weighted, but no, we're not going to give Seth the satisfaction because Callum Tarrant is bad.
What do you think about 6,700? A guy that popped a little bit for me, Jacob Bridgman, if you're down here.
I think all of these guys are making like a quarter of the cuts, including Davis Riley's down here. KH Lee has missed the last 5 cuts in a row. Not great recent form by my math.
Stay in the 7.
Bud Colley. These are guys that have talent. They can definitely pop. Ryan Moore has had good course history here. But all these guys are having such like I said, 3/4 missed cuts. And in a field like this where it is depressed in talent, you can go with Trace Crow down here. But like Connor said, be like Connor. Build your lineup through the 9s and the 8s so you don't have to even think about taking a 1-in-4 Russian roulette style pick on a $6,500 guy who hasn't made a cut in 2 months. It just doesn't pay off. Like, who are these people that are picking up Zach Blair at 6,800, 9% of the lineups? That doesn't make any damn sense.
Second last week at the IceCo.
That was 2 weeks ago, and that's the only time he's ever done anything ever.
I don't disagree with you. I was just saying that's why.
I'm just incredulous to some of these results and projections because we can do so much better, guys. Just look at the pricing, look at the ownership, and pick leverage picks. There's plenty of guys to pick in this field that are on a heater, who fit the golf course, who aren't going to miss right and be wet and double bogey a bunch of holes when everybody else is making birdies. Just don't be stupid.
Luke Clanton wins.
Agreed. Luke Clanton, I would say other than Finau, Clanton is by far my favorite guy here at 18 under par.
Really? You think that's it? I think it's 22 to 24. I think we have a similar year to last year. I think it's going to score out pretty good.
I'll say 19 then. I think it'll be a little bit depressed with the little bit of wind that we're going to get for a couple of days. It's not going to be major. Like, we're still looking at premium scoring position. But I think you're going to see it's par 71. You get 465s. That puts you at 24. I think that's pretty steep. So I think you're going to get the winner is going to shoot 66 or better all 4 days. I don't know if we get a 62 or 63 this week, though. I really think that's going to keep the scoring reasonable.
We'll see. I don't know. Every time I try and back off the scoring, they light it up. So
yeah, it's true, man. The scoring's been great this year.
I'm gonna say Keith Mitchell is first round leader. He's got the 7:07 start time on Thursday. Get out there.
707.
Super soft. Just throw darts.
707 area code is in NorCal. It's the next area code over from me. In the
I like that. I like that start time for Keith Mitchell, though.
Yeah, I see that, and I will raise you a. I want to know what Rico Hoey's first round leader odds are because this dude's a hot starter. You got it in front of you?
I'm working on it. I'm close.
You gotta scroll a ways.
70 to 1.
Perfect. I'll take Rico Hoey first round leader, 70 to 1. Why not?
Why not? Done way dumber shit with $5.
Is Tim still here?
I don't know, but it is time for the hat. The hat has chosen number 10 in our models.
Ooh, this will be a good one. Number 10. Go ahead, Connor.
Harry Hall is number 10 in mine.
Oh, I hate this. This is the only guy in my top 10 that I don't actually like.
Yeah, damn you, hat.
Yeah, Maverick McNeely. Shout out NorCal. That's all I can say is I don't like Mav this week, but he is from NorCal, and he is number 10 in my model. He is in between Novak and Batia.
Yeah, so I got Meisner above Harry Hall and Novak. So
yeah. Mine goes Mitchell, Finau, Clanton, Kim, Hoagie, Hoey, Meisner, Bradley, Novak, McNeely, Batia, Vegas.
It's pretty close. Mine's Finau, Batia, Mitchell, Clanton, Kim, Kraft, Gim, Meisner, Novak, Hall.
Kelly Kraft, 300 to 1. Throw that one in there. All right. Thank you to everyone. I believe we're going to do a semi-abbreviated show next week for the Olympic Games, the Olympiad from Paris, France.
Yeah, that'll be a short one. We don't have too many guys to even talk about.
Right, yeah. USA is going to just crush everybody. I mean, we got Scotty, Xander, and Colin on our team. I think we're going to be great.
I think it's going to be good, but don't count out guys like Rory, Oberg.
Sweeping the podium, I'm calling it. It's going to make up for the Ryder Cup embarrassment.
Get that bet in now. U.S. to sweep the podium.
Oh, that would be a great payout, I'm sure. Because we got 2 of the 3 in the bag. I don't think there's any way Xander and Scotty don't medal.
And throw some money at Nelly Corda while you're at it.
Oh,
who's just incredible.
She's outstanding. Yes, in USA all the way. Cheers. Join us next week for the Olympic Games from Paris, France. And at the week after that will be the Wyndham at Sedgefield.
It's my favorite tournament to listen to you talk about.
Of course, and that will lead into our final 3 shows of the season, the FedEx Cup playoffs. We're in dwindling times, 5 weeks left in the 19th hole season, but we're going to have a good time while we're here.
Man, we've had a good season, but vacation sounded pretty good.
Yeah. Like this video, subscribe to the whole damn channel. In Between Media, sports, lifestyle, everything in between.